Right, I'm delighted to be joined by Sam Rennie. You've got a massive fight coming up, fighting for the WBC Australasia Super Featherweight title. Going to be a massive opportunity for you, and I believe this is a chance for you to make history. Tell me all about it.
Yeah, exactly that. It is. It's a chance to make history, and that it seems to be the only thing a lot of people have been speaking about lately. And I'm trying my best not to let the occasion get to me. And obviously at the start it was all right to build it up as like history, history. I'm going to be the first Manx boxer ever to be a professional champion of any sort, and it is a big moment, and the situation can consume you. So I'm trying to stay nice and relaxed now, and almost like a robot and be emotionless to it and just win the fight, and then after the fight I can get emotional and think about it then. But yeah, it is definitely a big fight, biggest fight in my life so far, and big fight for my family too, obviously representing my last name. Big fight for the Isle of Man as a whole. So yeah, it's one to look forward to, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned your family there. Tell me a little bit about you and your brothers and the journey you've been on, because the things you've done for the Isle of Man have been pretty incredible.
Yeah, definitely. All three of us have done amazing things. There's a 4 year gap between three of the lads. So my oldest brother Ed, he represented the island for the Commonwealth Games, and he was a great amateur. He never made the turn to professional boxing, but then the middle brother followed his footsteps, went to the Commonwealth Youths, and he won a silver representing the Isle of Man. And to be honest, Matty was probably the best amateur boxer the island's ever produced. Like, and now obviously it sounds biased, being his brother, but if you look at what he's done, he represented England. He won a silver, multiple box cup medals. He was a brilliant amateur, and then he went on and again a brilliant pro. He's been the best. He's the best boxer the island's produced. And now, to be in the same bloodline as him and look up to him and take advice from him, I'm trying to just follow in the same footsteps. One day I'd like to be spoken about as the best of the three, but for now I'll settle for second place. But I'm still young and coming up, so
I mean, you've got all the time in the world to make that happen. You obviously start
yeah.
this journey of the Isle of Man. You're in Australia now. Tell me a little bit. How did you end up in Australia?
Just a bit of a random move. I didn't think too much about it. I was just going for. I felt a bit flat in the Isle of Man. Outside of boxing, life wasn't really going well for me. So I just came out here originally for like a 6 month break, a bit of a, let my hair down, have a bit of a party, explore, and just. I didn't even think about it, to be honest. Like I've said this a few times. Like I've not got an inspirational story about why I moved out here. I just did it one day so randomly, and I just stayed out and never came back. So I found a boxing gym. I trained up and down a few boxing gyms around Australia. I was in Townsville in Queensland, and there was a gym called Knuckles. Matthew Rooney owns a gym called Knuckles. They actually just sent me a little generous donation as well, to help, with some funding of the training camps and recovery and nutrition and that. And that was nice. And so, and as well as my old boxing gym in the Isle of Man also sent me a nice sponsorship. So it was good. I was traveling up and down the country from Queensland, Sydney, New South Wales, Melbourne, and just trying to find a gym that found like a home. Trying to find a gym and a coach that's seen my vision. And I did in Sydney for a while. I met a coach called Sam Baston, and he was a great coach, very very knowledgeable of the sport. He's been around, trained with elite fighters, MMA and boxing. And I was him. I was going to settle there for a while in Sydney, and then obviously I ended up a bit in a bad way, and then I made the move over to Perth, and it was a bit of a last resort. I was thinking about coming home. I was close to, just with things not going my way, I was close to going home, or at least seeing what my options were. Maybe America, or Dubai or anywhere. Just didn't really want to go home, but I thought I might have to. But luckily enough, I found a family here, and now I've been in Perth. I've been in Perth 1 year today, actually.
Yeah, it's
So yeah.
amazing to see how well you're doing now, and hopefully the future is going to be incredible for you as well. You touch on some of the difficult times there. Your manager, Tony, told me that you had a battle with homelessness at one point. Can you tell me a little bit of the stories behind that?
Yeah, it was never, listen, it was never a crazy experience. Like you couldn't make a movie about it or anything. I just found myself in a bit of a bad way briefly. I had my first pro fight, and before my pro fight, my debut, I couldn't get any sponsors, and I left my job so I could train full time for my debut. I wanted to go 110% in, not 1 foot in the jungle. And then it was all great at the time, but then after the debut, when I tried to get back to work, they were like, "Nah." And I was like, "What am I going to do now?" I couldn't pay my rent, and I just found myself, nowhere to stay, and I was panicking, didn't really know what to do. Didn't want to reach out to my family and say, "Your 22-year-old son in Australia is homeless." Like, so I just reached out to a few friends, and I was just staying on a sofa in a little garage, like in for 2 weeks until I got myself back on my feet. So it was tough though. It was like, don't get me wrong, it's a scary time. It's one thing having nowhere to go to, but especially like I say, being on the other side of the world, and I was just going to Coles and getting $1 packets of pasta and $1 tuna cans, and I was living off that. I had a full bag. When I went up to my friend, a girl called Amira, she let me in a house for 2 weeks, just staying on a sofa. And then I rocked up with a bag just full of $1 pastas and $1 tunas. And she was laughing at me, and I was thinking, well, I didn't know what else to do. Like, so, and I'm not a picky eater anymore. I'll put it that way.
I mean, you say it's not a crazy story, but to have gone from that period in your life to now be fighting for a professional title at such an early stage of your career is incredible, and it's a testament to how well you're doing. Tell me a little bit about your opponent because you're jumping in right at the deep end here. He's an experienced guy.
Yeah, I am. Listen, I believe in my ability anyway. Like, I always have, and obviously you hear it all the time. You shouldn't be in the sport if you don't believe in your ability. And this is just to see where I am. Like, maybe I am delusional. Maybe I don't have a clue about the sport, but we'll find out. But I am confident in myself. And yeah, like you say, he's had double the amount of experience. He's fought for a similar title before in Dubai, where he just fell short on points to a local lad. And then he's been in against notable opponents around Perth and Australia. So he's known for being tough. He's coming off a win in January. So any fighter that's coming off a good win is confident. He come off a win against the local lads in Indonesia. That was across 6 rounds, and like this, I've never been past 4 rounds. So of course the guy, but I've said it before, he's tailor made for me. Like skill wise, I don't want to be disrespectful to the fella, but he is tailor made for me. Skill wise, what he brings to the table compared to what I bring to the table. Everyone will see on the night how well I look, and it is tailor made for me. And nothing's a walk in the park, but I should breeze through this guy. And I want to show the boxing world, the Australian scene, even the British scene. Obviously, I would want to fight back home next year. I want to show everyone that I'm a top dog, and although I'm early in my career and I'm still serving my apprenticeship and I'm still young, I'm a baby in the sport. But I want to start getting my name on the scene, and if I make easy work of this, which like I say, no fight is easy work, I know I'm going to have to knuckle down and be on my A game. But if I look good doing it, which I think I will, I'm sure people will be speaking about me. I'm sure I'll get some opportunities knocking.
Yeah, 100%. It'll be massive for you if you can pick up a big victory. And your career has been interesting so far. I know, obviously, living in Australia, born in the Isle of Man, but you've done some training in the Canary Islands too, I believe. So, what was your experience like out there?
Yeah, I went out there a while ago when I was about 15. Was like, well, so I was originally in Lanzarote. I was about 14, 15. And then I was training out there with like Kell Brook, Billy Joe Saunders, Kid Galahad, world champions. I'm 15 years old, amateur, 6 foot, 50 kilos, freak of nature, and I'm training with these lads. I'm sparring Kid Galahad. I'm sparring Leigh Woods. Atif Shafiq was a young boxer on the way. I don't know if you know him. He's retired from the sport now, but he was a great boxer, great lad outside doing as well. He ended up getting arthritis on his wrist and had to call it a day. He's coaching now, but being around them lads at such a young age, for a brief moment in Spain, really, I actually think that was the changing point in my mindset. I started taking boxing serious after that. Like I would always, when I was a kid, like a teenager, 13, 14, I'd rather be out with my mates messing about and getting into trouble than going to the boxing gym or getting up early and going for a run. And then after that trip over there to Spain, it definitely flipped the switch. And then I went back again when I was 16. And then I didn't go for a while, obviously due to like COVID. And then I come to Australia. And I just went there in January to see my dad and again, yeah, to train for my last fight in March. And good, it's such a good atmosphere there, good gym, always good boxers coming in and out from all over the world. So yeah, I went there originally with my brother, but we ended up buying an apartment right outside the gym so we can go anytime.
I mean, that's crazy. And you touch on those rounds with Leigh Wood and Kid Galahad. Do you remember what they were like? What was it like sparring those two guys?
At the time, I was bricking it. I can't even lie. I was thinking, what am I doing? And just the experience, like I'd be good. I'd be solid for the first 2 or 3 rounds because, like an amateur, I'd box like an amateur. And then you see the difference between a pro style and an amateur style, especially across long rounds. And obviously, they were a lot bigger and older at the time. And like I say, Kid Galahad was just about to fight for an IBF world title. Do you know what I mean? Leigh Wood now is a 3-time world champion or something. Atif Shafiq was at a very high level. Kell Brook, I don't even need to say what he's done in sport. And sparring these lads definitely gave you a big confidence boost. So I remember thinking when I was in the change room for my next amateur fight after this, I remember sitting there thinking, like, this lad's nothing compared to the boys I've been in with. Do you know what I mean? It was such a big yeah, a big confidence booster. And like I say, just seeing how they train and their mentality towards the sport and even nutrition, everything, like, it just flipped a big switch in me. And yeah, they were great lads. And I was only a young kid as well, so you do sort of idolize them at the time. Now I would be looking at them as competition, but yeah, at the time you idolize them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you've had so many crazy memories from moving to Australia to doing the sparring. What do you think is the craziest story you've had from your career so far?
Oh, that's a hard question. Craziest story in my career. Don't know. The craziest story outside of my career was probably nearly getting eaten by a shark in my first couple of weeks in Australia. But,
Right. So what's that story then? You're
crazy.
gonna have to tell me.
That was it when I was just traveling Australia. Like, when I first got here, I was jumping in and out. I had one of them phone cases where you can bring your phone into the water, and I jumped in and just seen this massive shark. I didn't even know what shark it was, and yeah, that because I forgot that I'm in Australia. I forgot you can't just go jumping in waters and I'm surrounded by crocodiles and sharks and that. Well, that's got absolutely nothing to do with boxing. I wouldn't have a clue. I'm not really. I've been quite lucky, that, like, apart from my little down moments, I've met some great fighters. I've got countless little stories. I ain't got any crazy stories, but even, for example, when I first got here to Perth, and like I said, I had no money. I was fresh off that bit of a bad spell. I didn't even have a growing guard or any sparring equipment. I didn't have anything, and I was sparring Jackson England, who's ranked number 5 or 6
Yes, yeah.
in it. So he's looking for Kakachi or Leigh Wood or any of the top dogs there, and I think he's more than capable of winning a world title. So I was sparring him, and he noticed just before I sparred him, I was sparring another lad, and I didn't have a groin guard on. And he gave me his groin guard with his own initials and that on it, and he just said, "Keep it until you get your own. Like, don't worry about it." And I always remember, things like that, when you got a lad at that magnitude, that level of boxing, giving the smaller lads, the lesser known lads, giving them a bit of a bit of time of day, and even still, he message like he's one that I message all the time, and yeah, I've got a lot of time for him. So you're surrounded by great people all the time. Even there's another fella, Richie Lockett, a former opponent of Jackson England. Both of them are great lads, and I've been sparring Richie every week this year. So you get you do meet so many great people. Everyone's got their own little stories. That's what's great about the sport. Everyone has a story, because I feel like you wouldn't be doing it if you had smooth sailings your whole life. You wouldn't be doing this sport. You need a bit gone in the head. Do you know what I mean? And so everyone's got their own little stories. And that Jackson England was a bloody stripper before he was like, honest to God, everyone's got a bit of a funny story. So it's good, yeah. It's nice. Even some of the amateurs coming through the gym I'm in now, like, there's a few pros in here and a few amateurs. Everyone's got their own book that they're writing. You know what I mean? So it's great to be around these type of people.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I've spoke to Jackson England before, and he's a lovely guy. And it's weird because he had a similar sort of background to you. At one point, he was staying in a storeroom, so it's crazy that you two have sort
Was
of
yeah,
come
I didn't know
together. And
that.
yeah, so it's crazy how you two have come together and obviously have such a good relationship now. But regardless, I wish you all the luck in the world for the fight. I hope you manage to put in a big performance. But before I let you go, is there anything else that you would like to mention?
Just massive thank you to all my sponsors. Obviously, you hear everyone talk about it all the time, but it's not possible without the sponsors. I had a few people generous donations from back home. John Kane from New Horizon Boxing Club, Charlie Davison, like I say, Knuckles Boxing Gym, and then my sponsors that back me every fight: Mulroy, MGC Solutions, Management Aspects, SGA, and U Beauty Mechanics. They're all backing me the whole way. They want to see me do well, and I'm very thankful for that. So yeah, big thanks to them.